So I'm Jacci and I thought it would be great for my YouTube channel and for the healing page on my website, just to give you an overview really of the things that I've written about in my newest book, Talk, Hope, Healing and Being a Survivor, which is free to download for anybody on the healing page and the books page of my website, thelovethatweare.org, or you can order it in a hardback copy online. But I'm actually, in all honesty, going through some new healing challenges myself at the moment. I'm dealing again with cancer, and I've certainly been through a lot of experiences of healing and health issues and challenges, and I've certainly rode my own canoe through a lot of rapids in my lifetime. I've had ME, brain tumour, malignant melanoma, skin cancer, an autoimmune disease called scleroderma, and now I'm dealing with neuroendocrine cancer, so it's quite a lot to be dealing with in one lifetime, but I still feel like, as it says on this book, that I am a survivor, and I live with the mindset of a survivor, and I'd like to share a few of those points of lessons that I've learned with you that are all in the book in detail, and it looks at the experiences of other people as well in the book, and there's also things that I've learned since I wrote the book, so I'll just like to give you an overview of all that. So just to start, I'll get over some practical nitty-gritties really. I do talk in the book about the idea of PPP, which is to remind yourself always you're not pathetic or a pest, and you need to persist. I say that because I've learned many times in my dealings with the NHS and perhaps with other large systems within our culture, but for sure within my health challenges, that there are times when you really do need to be brave and reassure yourself you're not being a pest and you're not just a pathetic person, but you need to persist to get the help that you need and the communication that you need. Because sometimes just waiting for communication can be so stressful, and so really do tell yourself that you're worth it and that you've got the right to be brave, and you deserve to get the help and the answers that you need. It's always a really delicate balance, I know that, because you don't want to get on the wrong side of people that might have your life in their hands, but and you do need to find a balance so that you're not being over demanding and selfish, and sometimes that balance is hard to find and you get stressful about that, but overall just tell yourself that you deserve the help that you need, and be persistent if needs be to get that appointment, get those results, or even get that operation, or get the counselling or the therapy that you need and that you think could be arranged for you. So persist and know that you deserve to and that you're worth it. And find that balance if you can. Don't go too far one way, but reassure yourself that it's better to be a little bit persistent and really go for it. It's better for your sake to do that than to just sit back and be totally passive and know that things aren't being done that should be and just let it all happen to you. So be brave. That's been my experience. And the other point of that I would say is don't go it alone. As much as you can, if possible, if you've got an important meeting or consultation, that there's going to be important questions to ask and answers to listen to and information to receive, try to take somebody with you. Because even that ratio of there being two of you there can make you feel more confident to ask what you need to, and write things down if you can, and the person who goes with you can maybe be aware of what you're going to ask about, so that if the nerves take over and you forget to ask things you promised yourself you would, that person can step in at the end and say, and you also wanted to ask this. And if you can't find someone to go with you, maybe see if that can be arranged through official avenues or charity help. I found from experience the number of times I've kicked myself for being in an appointment alone, being sure I would go in there and ask what I needed, and then somehow you get this feeling of anxiety because it's a difficult situation that you're dealing with, or you might feel a little bit rushed, let's be honest, and sometimes just having somebody there with you can help you breathe and get through your questions and your answers. And do remember to breathe deep before you go in, and go over in your mind before you go in what you're going to ask about. That's important, because you are rowing your own canoe through these rapids. You're holding the oars. You're taking all the help you can from the experts and the support network, but you feeling like you're your best guardian is so important. And that's point 3 I was going to make, which is be your own best guardian. And that means find out the facts about what you're dealing with. Look up the different remedies and solutions, the different techniques or ways of help. I've used a lot of things through complementary health. I use a lot of meditation in the past, especially with my brain tumour. I really learned self-hypnosis and visualisation, and there are videos to go with the book that are free to download that are all about healing visualizations. Some people love acupuncture, others I use homeopathy, and also yoga, tai chi, qigong. These are all things that you can find out about, and I've really found this recently, there are some fantastic charities out there that have a wealth of support and information, especially now we have so much on Zoom. There are so many workshops and help groups that you can connect to that can give you information and take you through techniques. I go to a brilliant mindful movement one with Penny Braun UK, which is brilliant, and that's a cancer support group, which is fantastic. And it's so interesting how things have changed, because when I first had my brain tumour, Penny Braun UK was Bristol Cancer Help Centre, and then all the help really was that you needed to go to the place and be there on a residential perhaps to learn about things that could help you. But now that we have Zoom and online classes, you don't have to go to a place. There is so much available out there if you connect to the right groups. Like my cancer at the moment is neuroendocrine cancer, and I've found there's a fantastic charity that is a wealth of resources and help called Neuroendocrine Cancer UK, and that's the same for so many health issues. I'm sure there's help groups for people with long COVID, for example. So be your own best guardian and look things up and find the help that's there. And also be your own best guardian in that you need to sometimes chase things up. You need to chase up red tape and delays and missed letters. All the biggest problems that have happened to me in my health experiences and challenges have been linked to red tape. Lost scan appointments, missing notes about the clips in my brain, all sorts of things that sometimes you need to chase up admin, red tape, because the skills and the expertise within our NHS, for example, and social services is amazing, incredible. but sometimes the management and the communication and the red tape is what you need to keep, be your own best guardian to keep an eye on, from my experience. And that sometimes means phoning the secretary of a consultant and asking about something. I found some of my consultant secretaries have been brilliant at helping me chase things up. So always remember that you're holding the oars of your canoe, getting through these rapids of a life challenge, and be your own best guardian. And don't be ashamed of that. You deserve to help yourself. So, we then look at the next point, which is know your limits and the limits of your solutions. And what I mean by that is, sometimes the bravest thing is to accept the limits that you have. We can't all be supersonic and super healthy, and to accept and know the limits that are within your own health can sometimes be a really healing and nourishing thing. Like it's finding that balance again between pushing yourself to stretch your limits, but also not pushing so hard that you overdo it and that you damage your strength and your healing. And accepting changes that might happen to you. For example, my left brain has got some damage from my brain surgery, and so I accept that I can't now be an academic, but my right brain works great, and so I can focus on what I truly love, which is writing poetry. And you'll find within your limits where your strengths are, and it's very loving to accept that and to have the courage to be who you are. And also know the limits of your solutions. I've been through some ridiculous experiences where, for example, I was encouraged by a spiritual group, and I delayed my brain surgery thinking that I could pray and visualise away my brain tumour, which was a completely crazy thing to do, and I nearly lost my life because of it. Because sometimes, complementary medicines and all the things that we can do to help ourselves are absolutely fantastic and empowering, but there's also times when you need surgery or you need medication, and so you have to know the limits of your solutions and sometimes accept expert help and Western medicine, because there's a lot of rosy tints around a lot of things that come maybe from other cultures and the East, but sometimes Western medicine is the best thing that will keep you alive. So it's like knowing the limits of what you're trying to do, whilst also being empowered to try the very best with everything, and find those balances yet again, and be who you are, and be accepting of the help that you need. And then in the book I look at the idea that positive and negative emotions are both okay. I know that very early on with my brain tumour experiences and looking for healing, I remember being at Bristol Cancer Centre, and we were asked to paint all our positive feelings, and I painted those quite happily. I'm brave, I'm strong. And then we were asked, paint how you feel negatively, and I completely refused. I said, no, I don't feel anything negative, I'm just brave and positive. And I found over a lot of years of experience that that's not true healing. Sometimes the media and other people maybe give this image that it's important to just be heroic when you're going through a serious illness. But then I heard of a really sad case of a little boy who had serious cancer, and he felt so guilty that he was full of sadness because he thought he should be a hero. And we mustn't make ourselves feel guilty for having those negative emotions as well. it's important to accept how you're truly feeling, however that is. I use mindful meditation now, and there's one of the practices I use called the hourglass meditation, which is in my on my website and on YouTube. And in that, you just recognise, even briefly, and just give a name even to the feelings that you're feeling that day, that moment. And some of those feelings might be negative, and just recognise them. Sometimes just to accept and recognise our feelings is the biggest healing step we can take, rather than pretending that they're not there. And it really is finding that balance, so you can be determined and full of hope and optimism and tenderness for yourself, but at the same time you can also recognise, as I do, that you feel sad, you feel angry, you feel afraid, and maybe even you feel despair. And just recognising that is a huge step. But I've learnt even recently that it's not just about recognition. I named recently these 3 R's, that our negative emotions need recognition, respect, but also release. Because I've learned recently it's important, okay, that you feel your negative feelings, but it's also important to release them, let them out. Don't hold them trapped inside you. One thing I've started doing each day when I do my yoga, or you might do anything that helps you do this, at the end of my session I am actually lying on my front, but you can do this lying on your back as well, but I lie on my front, and then I just recognise the negative feelings in my belly and I breathe them out down into the earth. I mean, if you're lying on your back to do that, doesn't matter, they can still be breathed out into the air. And just breathe out with a big out breath all your negative feelings, and let Mother Earth accept them, because the earth can transform them quite easily back into positive. But you breathe them out. And you can do other things to release negative feelings. You can throw a stone in a river, or have a shout, or maybe do some art or some creative work. But I really feel as well this breathing out the negative. And then what I do is I turn over, because I'm lying on my front to do that, and as I lie in relaxed position on the earth, or it can be on a bed or wherever, then you breathe in again, and you breathe in the light and the positivity of the universe around you. So you breathe out the negative and then breathe in the positive, and fill yourself with light, and find that honest balance within you. So point 6 is going further into that, which is facing your fears and forgiving. I think it really is important that we do face our fears, and accept and recognise them, and that, as I've just said, that really is a way of a bigger step towards healing. And they don't always need to be analysed. Just knowing how you feel truly is so healing and empowering. It's like in the you take the curtain away, and like you realise that the monster is really not such a big thing. As soon as you take that hiding power, that trapped power of the negative fear away, and just see it for what it is, it loses a lot of its power over you. And as I've said, meditations or any practices to release the negative and then draw in the positive. Don't feel you just need to do this once and that should have happened now. You can repeat these over and over again. You can keep healing. Keep repeating that, breathing out the negative fear and breathing in hope and positive courage and confidence for your own healing. These things, healing is a continual process. It's not this is it and now I'm done. You can keep going with facing your fears, and also forgiving. forgiveness is a huge aspect of healing. You might feel that there are lots of things that you need to forgive. You might feel because of what's happened to you, you need to forgive other people, you need to forgive doctors, or you need to forgive yourself for some things. You might even feel you need to forgive God or spiritual, the divine powers of the universe. And it's important to allow yourself to be human. There are things that you feel you need to forgive, and sometimes you can't. Sometimes just being willing to forgive, being willing to one day soon be willing. Forgiveness can sometimes take time, and you can get help from brilliant books that are written, or therapy, or from your faith, because acceptance and forgiveness are key pillars in the great faiths, and it's a continuous process. So, point 7, let's have a deep breath first. I don't know if I've been talking too fast, but point 7 is that you own your own identity. A lot of my writing and things on my website and videos I have on YouTube are about transformation, and the symbol of the dragonfly for transforming, or the butterfly for transforming ourselves. But always remember that it's your identity that you put out into the world, and how important it is for that to be a positive identity. And it's important to remember, like the book, it's about being a survivor. It's not a book about how to survive, because nobody can guarantee that you're going to survive a serious illness or life problem or mental health problem. Nobody can promise cures, but every one of us can live as a survivor in life this moment now, no matter what happens next. And that's the key mindset, because if you live as a survivor with that determination and self-love and hope, that's your best tool you'll ever have towards being, towards survival and getting over a massive rapid in the river of a health challenge. But it's in the moment now. It's not a goal to aim for. It's being a survivor now, in this moment. What your identity is, how you live your life now, no matter what. It's important, if you can, to ask yourself, how do you describe yourself? How do you present your identity to the world? Is it in some ways as someone who's persecuted or a victim, or is it with a positive, do you wear a positive set of clothes? Like for many years I described myself as someone who's had a brain tumour, and that was my identity in a lot of ways, whereas now for sure I would say I am a poet, if I'm asked. That's like funny, because that's like almost saying I'm successful at something, but that's a great boost to give yourself, but even the important thing is that you use a positive identity for yourself, and also that you remember that no label, no identity, no set of clothes is who you really are. Who you are is a completely unique person. There's nobody like you in the universe. But you own that identity of who you are. It's a very complex topic in a way, and there's things written about it in the book by other people who I interview, and how they say that the key things that they've learned as survivors in life is to be determined, to keep going through no matter what, to keep on and have that self-love and self-determination, but also to try to transform your identity into a positive one, and to completely throw off any negative clothes that you've been wearing. You know, don't just look at that negative set of claws of a negative identity, but take it off and throw them out. Yeah, and be you, who is unique. And finally, with a deep breath, I would say that what I've learned is the importance of to value and nourish your strengths. Maybe you've been through a lot of hard challenges, and nobody can say that's a good thing to want to happen to you. But the value might be that you've learned a lot of things. You've learned about who you are, you've learned self-awareness, and you're still learning, and you're listening, and you're learning to listen to yourself and be your own best guardian. And you know, learn that there are a lot of strengths that you will gather from this experience as you go through these rapids in your canoe. You might get dunked down into the water, and you might have to get up again. You might have to pat yourself on the back and take some deep breaths. But value who you are because of all this, and value your vulnerability. That you are a special person who's going through this, and give yourself all the love and recognition. It's like you're tending a rose in a rose garden, and you want to water and nourish that rose. Use some discipline, maybe prune some things, but give that rose such love and tenderness for who you are. And then I would say that it's so important to have hope. There's a lot of new ideas about the power of hope in manifesting things. And for sure, in the short meditations I do that are about being love, being hope, and being healing light, I do use that hope as such a powerful part of healing. And when I say I'm full of hope, I imagine myself on top of Blencathra Mountain in the Lake District, because that's my aim, that's my hope. And it's so important to use the power of hope, maybe from your faith, or maybe just from your love of life. You know, imagine spring lambs jumping in the air in spring, and use that power of hope within you to bring that healing energy deep inside you. And then, as after I've rattled and chatted so much, you know, the power of silence and the power of quiet. Take time to, you know, there are those short meditations, as I say, on the healing page of my website and on the YouTube. And they're about feeling full of love, full of hope, and full of healing light. And knowing that you're surrounded by love, you're surrounded and held by hope, and you're surrounded and nourished and held by the healing light of our universe. And then if you can step further into feeling and knowing, or allowing yourself to begin to know that you are that love. And you are that hope energy of our universe. And that you are healing light. You're full of healing light. You're held in it. And your whole energy field is the loving, healing light of the one love of our universe. And then be quiet and just be the love that you are. Be you. Thank you. Go well.